What happened was, I joined the military. I know. To look at me, you're thinking, my God, he grew up dreaming of joining the military. This guy is clearly military material. And I wouldn't blame you. I mean, I get that vibe too. It sort of happened where I fell ass backwards into it. My father was my recruiter. So I was 17 and he came to my room and said, "So, son, what are your plans after high school?" And I paused my video game and I looked at him and was like, "Well," he said, "I thought that. So sign here, initial there, and you'll be leaving on the 25th of June. I'm like, "All right, old man, I'll play your little game." So I left for basic training on the 25th of June. And yeah, I took a flight to San Antonio, landed about 11 o'clock at night, and then we took a bus from San Antonio to the base. I got there about 2 in the morning and went through all the processing, and then about 3 a.m. we get down to our barracks, and that's when they got everyone off the bus except me. They kept me in the back of the bus, and they said, "Hey, when's the last time you saw your family?" I'm like, "At the airport." All right, got that. So, do they know where you're at? I'm like, "Well, yeah. They know I'm coming to San Antonio." "Okay, who were you supposed to meet when you get here?" And I'm like, "Honestly, I have no idea." They're like, "So your family just sent you on an airplane and dropped you off here at San Antonio Airport, and then you just got on the bus?" "Well, yeah, I just was following everyone else." "Okay, so you don't know who you're supposed to meet at the airport?" "No." "And what brought you here?" I'm like, "Well, I mean, basic training, I guess." Like, "Wait, what?" And I'm like, "Yeah, did you need to see my orders?" So yeah, they thought, in their defense, I was about 112 pounds and hadn't quite yet reached my growth spurt. I'm not the towering 5'4" that I am today. At that time, I was only 5'2" and just barely able to get in the military, actually, with that. And so they just thought I was a lost child. And I've got a blemish. I'm 47 years old and I have a blemish. That's concerning. So anyhow, so I'm a pimply faced kid, 12 pounds, and yeah, 5'2", so I can understand there. I can understand. So then, okay, so things take a turn. Then we all pile up and get in line, trying to get in some sort of order, and it's 3:30 in the morning, and they are just yelling and angry people they put in charge of us. Very well, I guess I would be too if it was 3:30 in the morning. So they're yelling at us and blah 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 blah, and then it's time to go upstairs. And so we get upstairs, and they said that we need to go to a locker and put our nose up on the locker. And so we do that, and then they say, "Okay, now you have to remember the number of your locker." Well, I can't see the number of the locker because my nose is pressed up against it. But anyhow, then we are to strip down naked. Now, I have a lot of movies in my collection that have this very same theme. So they say strip down naked, and then we're all going to wait for the shower. I'm not sure who said heel to toe, but we're standing there naked, waiting for the shower in a long line with a whole, like a gay man's dream. It's like a shower built for six. And so we've got this shower, and we're all waiting in line for our turn. And someone says heel to toe. I'm all for following orders, but I guess we weren't supposed to do that. Fortunately, I'm at the very tail end of all this because I'm the shortest, so no one could really see me motioning towards the person in front of me. Thank God. Oh, and so then it's our turn for the shower. Now we're in this shower again. I say built for six, but it could certainly accommodate 24. And we all get in line for our our shower head, and we're go to our shower head, and then they come in with this in this bay with a metal trash can and a metal pole, and then they just start banging this. And again, now it's probably about 4:15. We're doing timing in the morning, and they're just, and that was excruciating. I could feel my ears bleeding from this. Didn't really know where to place my feelings, so we're on our first plane trip. We're on a 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm surrounded by attractive young men, and we're all naked and in the shower. But then it's like maybe a conversion therapy, maybe because they want you to associate this with something bad. So now they're doing the metal pole with the garbage can. So telling us to hurry up. Why? Well, then we go back to our locker. Remember, we had to remember the number of our locker. This sounds very something like I learned at the Holocaust Museum. Super dark. But anyhow, so we have to remember our locker number. So we go to our locker number. And we have to put our little noses up against the locker. And you hear this rolling sound. And it is keys to our locker that are on dog chains. And then they bundled up all the keys in dog chains into this giant metal ball. And they roll it down the aisle. This is where I told you it takes a turn. Then they asked for us to get on all fours. We're still naked. Post-shower. Still facing the locker. And crawl on all fours and go find the corresponding key to our locker while they watch. I mean, who am I? Obviously, titanically gay. Am I to judge on this? But, the 90s were a little lawless. I guess they could get away with this in the 90s. I would love for them to try this today. That would be really amusing. So there we are, a bunch of dudes on all fours at 4:30 in the morning trying to find keys to our corresponding locker. So then we get keys, and then we're told we have to get into the bed that's next to the locker. So we get into the bed, sweet relief. Now we can finally get some rest. Well, some of us are still a little amped up from all the activity. And then maybe 15 minutes rolls by, and then they wake us up. Now it's time to make the bed. They just wanted us to get the bed, unmade. So we do that. We get out and we try to make this bed. Oh, did I mention we're still naked? And then they come by with our luggage, which I completely forgot I even brought luggage. What with all, again, the distracting activities that they had collected from downstairs. They got all of the luggage up there. So we have to go find our luggage and dump it on our quasi-made beds. And they went through rifling to make sure that we didn't have anything we weren't supposed to have. I don't know what, at this point, if they were looking for dildos. I don't know what they were looking for. Don't know what they were looking for. But they went through and made sure that we didn't have anything we weren't supposed to have. And then we had to get dressed in the same clothes that we wore before our shower. So what was the point of the shower if we're just going to get right back into those same clothes? I don't know. Maybe it led up to the naked time on all fours searching for keys. These kids are the stories that they don't tell you about in basic training. Then, what did we do? Oh, then we went downstairs. Now it's 5 in the morning. We have to go to the chow hall, and we're in line for the chow hall, and we get our wet egg and something sausage adjacent. I don't know. And then we eat that, but they make us, because we're in Texas, we got to do our 6, not everything, by the way. I've dated a few Texans. It's not really true. So we had our 6 glasses of water. We had to drink 6 glasses of water before we could eat. Now, I don't know if you've ever had 6 glasses of water all at once. Doesn't mix well with wet egg and something sausage adjacent. So we're standing in line after our 6 glasses of water, wet egg, and sausage adjacent, and we're out in the wonderful Texas heat because it's June, and it's now maybe 6 in the morning, and I feel before I hear this wet moisture coming all down me with egg, and that's the person behind me puking on me. So I really learned to appreciate that I was always going to be last in line because I'm the shortest. We didn't do that, and lesson learned. And they made me they made me walk around for the remainder of the day. Now they were super important. I got the shower done at 3 in the morning, but I was cool to walk around for the remainder of the day with wet, dried egg all from someone's vomit running and drying all down my back for the remainder of the day. So that was nice. That was an added touch. That's again something they don't share with you on those little BMT tapes. So FYI. Anyhow, so we did that, and then I managed to pass basic training. Boy, do I have more stories about basic training. Oh yeah. Okay, so the other thing was, I got terrible athlete's foot. Oh my God, they gave me these boots that. First of all, before we got the boots, I had to get my head shaped. I looked exactly like Sinead O'Connor. Exactly. It was crazy. Like, nothing compares. Well, I compared. Let me tell you, it was nuts. Anywho, so they shaved my head. Not a good look for me. Not a good look. I never did that again. And then yes. So then we got that. Then we got my. They didn't make really uniforms that could fit me, so everything just looked kind of blousy on me. 112 pounds and my 5'2" frame, so it looked pretty ridiculous. Then what did we do? Oh gosh, basic training. Let's see. I don't know. I was a weepy mess. I thought for sure I wasn't gonna make it past week 1, and then here I am. Like, we're finally allowed to call family, I think, in week 2. And I was just a blubbering mess. I'm like, I never thought in a million years I would make it that far. But they were doing this new thing where they were combining the girl flights, the boy flights, and just, hormones, and just, it was insane. And so I fortunately was in the back, just watching all this go down. Wasn't very interested in the girl flight. They were just too aggressive. And then what did we do? Oh, then we had to do a Warrior Week. Oh, that was fun. So, I'm so sorry. I said Warrior Week because that's what they do now. I did Warrior Day. So Warrior Day was we get all our stuff in a duffel bag and we go marching. And so we marched and then maybe for a couple hours we did some marching in San Antonio heat. So this is starting to feel military, right? First of all, we're clothed. Yay. And then second, we are in uniform and we're marching. So this feels military. Then we get to where we have to handle a gun. And I am not one for being a big fan of guns. Again, just to stress this, I didn't think I was going to make it this far. But because they were so busy with the brother-sister thing, I just got lost in the shuffle. So we're there with these guns in front of us after having marched, and they're giving us, I guess, training. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention, but they were telling us what to do with the guns. And so I'm like, whatever, just point and shoot, right? So we get out on the flight line. Oh no, I shouldn't say flight line because that would be bad to have a gun on a flight line. Never have a gun on a flight line. We get out on the shooting range place area to do the firing of said weapon. And the only reason I passed is because the guy to the left of me was a better shot or worse shot than I was. And so he kept shooting. He did very well. He kept shooting my target, not his. So unfortunately he didn't pass. But I got to go forward. So I got great marks. My actually never hit anything but dirt. I could absolutely see that I was never close to the target. And then so I passed. Yay! And then what happened? Oh, so now it's because it's the military warrior week. After the shooting, we sat in bleachers. All of us BMTers sat in bleachers. Well, we watched the, let's just say adults. I mean, we're all like 18, 19. So we watched the adults play around with different scenarios of what you would do if, but we just sat on the bleachers and watched. But my job that night, it was super important. My job when, well, actually the tents were already set up for us. We didn't have to do that. I never joined the Boy Scouts because I like to kiss other boys, so they would never take me. But I would imagine that we would do more in the Boy Scouts than we did this Warrior Day. Fairly certain, because when we arrived, tents were already set up for us. They had these cute little tasty MRE meals that we got to eat. And again, we did nothing. We just sat on the bleachers and watched everyone else pretend. Your tax dollars at work, folks. And then, so my job at night was I had my little flashlight. And for 1 hour, I would have to get up and guide people to the porta potty where the restroom was. So that was my job. And and look out for scorpions, because I guess that was a big thing. And so hearing that I had to look out for scorpions, never slept awake that night. I just kept waiting for the scorpions to eat me. So anywho, I did that, and then the bus came by at 5:30 that morning and took us to the chow hall. So we didn't even have to march back. And that was my warrior day, and which is like the most military I've ever been, is that moment right there. For the rest of the time, I've been sitting on my government cheese ass. Your tax dollars at work. What else? Oh, there was a time, I lied. There was a time where it's just a little bit more military. So this is what, 98? And this is during that whole Saddam Hussein anthrax era, when everyone was worried anthrax was coming through the mail all the time. So they shipped out everybody off the base and forgot that maybe we need some military on the base for people like me who don't know what they're doing. And so they like, oh, we don't have enough security forces people on these gates. We're going to need to recruit some military folks to work these gates. So they scraped the bottom of the barrel and found me somewhere in an office, and begrudgingly were like, would you like to be a security forces augmentee? And I'm like, oh my God, for sure. Oh my God, security forces guys are so hot. Yes, sign me up. So I'm all excited. Oh, by the way, don't ever date a cop. I mean, yeah, sure, they're handsome, they're hot, but they get around like nobody's business. You can never trust a cop. So, anywho's, that's a whole nother life lesson. I go in for my security forces training, and they hand me a cute little like a little laminate card. Ooh, cute card, and it had all sorts of instructions about what to do on the back of the card. But again, wasn't really paying attention because the instructor was so hot. And when you're getting pinned down by this guy, losing looks a whole lot like winning in my book. But anyhow, so we're doing the training with the whatever you're supposed to do when you catch somebody. I really didn't catch all that. But then it was time for lunch, and super excited. So I learned all the stuff I needed to learn about getting pinned down in the morning, and then it was time for lunch. So yay! And so we get there, and again, I got my little M16 gun, and they have like a little rack at the chow hall where you put your gun up. And I put the little gun up, and then I'm waiting in line because I had to get right behind this one guy that was just super hot in class. And so I'm following him, and then we hear this enormous crash, and everybody ducks under the table, and it's my gun that I didn't quite lock into place, so it kind of scared the bejesus out of everybody in the chow hall. So that was pretty embarrassing. But we're not done yet. They still kept me. Even after all this, still kept me, because now I'm off to M9 training, which is like a little handheld gun thingy. Weighs a ton. Anyhow, we go for M9 training, and it's the same blah, 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 taking it apart, put it back together, whatever. It's like Legos, right? Well, we did the, whatever that's called when you do this with the gun. And I got it caught right here, so it's dangling off my hand. I'm like, oh my god, this hurts, this hurts, this hurts, this hurts, this hurts. And then still kept me. And they took the retractable thingy from the gun, and they still kept me. In fact, they put me on the firing range even after this incident. So we all go to the firing range, and again, we had spent like 4 hours going over all this crap, and I took their advice and set it aside because I had seen enough of Charlie's Angels to know exactly what I needed to do. So I'm standing there, I've got my little gun ready, and it goes fire, and I go boom, and I hit my head on the pole behind me, and they blow the little whistle, and then at this point, they take the gun away from me like this, and they escort me out. I got called to work the back gate the next morning, despite the fact I wasn't qualified, despite the fact that I had no idea what I was doing, and all their little instructions about, what's going on that day and what I need to look out for and what I need to do in my little post was too high up for me to read. So they gave me this cute little Rubbermaid stool thing that I could stand on so I could read the instructions. Well, and the little strap thing that held the gun that I didn't qualify for, that I didn't have, was too long for me. So I kind of had to wiggle a lot. So I would have to hold the belt and the holster thingy mabob up here, and then climb up on my little Rubbermaid stool to read the instruction. Well, my mom heard about the fact that her little baby, was security forces. Mm-hmm. And so she's super proud. So there is a picture of me, and I gotta find it. I don't know where it's at, but there is a picture of me standing outside the gate, me holding up my little belt, and waving to my mom outside the gate for my big security forces moment. Well, we had an endless parade of limos come through the back with the little flags, and just a ton of them. I'm just like, woo, everybody gets through. Whatever, y'all look official. And then one of the cars, the window rolls down, and I hear, son, how old are you? And I said, I'm 18, sir. And then the window rolled up, and about 30 minutes later, I was invited to then leave the Security Forces augmentee program. So that was my stint as a Security Forces augmentee, but that is actually the most military I've ever been. Quick little bonus story. I completely forgot, but I have to mention. I always hid when it came time for picking who had to do what chore-wise for the dorm. I was fire marshal, which meant that I took out the garbage. And that was enough for me. It was about as much as I was wanting to contribute. But then they would go around and find someone new every single day that would have to cover the dorm while everyone was gone, guard the dorm. And I was always really good, being so small, at just standing on the toilet seat and then just keeping the door ajar so that they couldn't find me. Well, then somebody found me. The next day I had to cover the dorm while everyone was gone. And I don't know why I was avoiding it, because that was amazing. It was awesome. Because it was 2:00 in the afternoon, so while these chumps are out there marching along in the heat of San Antonio in the middle of the summer, I'm cooling, chilling, loving life. I shut off all the lights in the dorm. I got myself my little snuggie, or whatever, fleece, or whatever they call it in the military, and I'm all ready to guard my post slash nap. And then all of a sudden, the entire bay shakes, and the door is rattling off the hinges, and I can hear someone just doing this. I'm now awake. I remember, I've got to check to see who's at the door with the little slidey thing that's on the door, speakeasy. And they gave me a little Rubbermaid stool. Wasn't that nice? So I could reach and see. I got in the little Rubbermaid stool, and I'm standing there, and I open the little slidey thing, and all I see is a belt buckle. I'm okay, well, I just did all this so I could look at the little peephole, and I'm not looking at a face. I'm looking at someone's crotch. Again, a lot of movies with this theme, same theme. But anyhow, I'm just gonna make them think no one's home, right? That's cool. Clearly they don't have a key. They can't get in. I was just gonna slowly close the little door because I mean all I'm staring at is a belt buckle, so we're all good. And then he says, I saw you. I know you're in there. And Sir, dorm A6, how can I help you? And then I open the little slidey thing, and oh my god, the most handsome man. He must have a side gig for modeling. Like that square cut jaw that that you see in every military man. This was the guy. This is who they thought of when they thought military. This guy. Not this guy. Oh shit. Well, there are procedures, and I am being tested. Which, my 18-year-old self, that was a lot for me to think about, that I was being tested, because I'm not the sharpest tool in the sheds. The fact that I figured I was so busy congratulating myself on how smart I was for figuring out that I was being tested, that I kind of missed important details. But I look at his little card, and it's got Mickey Mouse as the picture. And I'm, well, sir, you are not a beloved Disney character. And then he flips up another ID, and it's a weird name. And I'm sure that name is a female name, and I don't believe that matches your picture either. I cannot let you in with that ID card. And then what was the third thing? I can't remember the thing. Well, anyhow, he flips up another ID card to let him in. And I'm, okay, this is green. And I hop off my stool, and I waddle on over because nothing fit. So everything was loose. I had to waddle everywhere because I was holding up everything. And I get to the little board, and then I can't read the board because I need my Rubbermaid stools, and then I gotta grab Rubbermaids. I'm sure he's wondering what is taking me so long. But I'm special needs, and I'm also small. I grab my little stool, and I sit it down. And I look up at the card, and it's green, and everything looks, I'm allowed to let a green ID card in. So then I go back down, and I go over to the door, and I see his little green ID card, and everything's good. And I'm okay. I passed the test. We tried the different pictures, tried the different names. Well, I'm good. Super smart. SMRT. And then I moved the little Rubbermaid stool, hoping that he wouldn't notice. He clocked it, by the way. But I was hoping he wouldn't notice that I had to use the stool. And then I proudly open the door, and he smiles because I did right. And that's how training instructors are. They're always smiling when you're doing something right. They're your 6th grade school teacher. Yeah, they're very happy for you. He smiled, and I made him smile. And then he came in, and he proceeded to come down quite a ways to yell at me right in my face. Why did you let me in here when you are not allowed to let anyone in here with a green ID card? And blah, blah, blah. And I'm, but sir, I look, and he said, don't you point at me. I feel threatened. And I did this. He says, don't point at me. I feel threatened. And my gut initial reaction, if you were to see this objectively, me and then this guy, my initial gut reaction was, you are? And I made him laugh. Don't make a TI laugh. Ever. If you take any takeaway from this, don't ever make a TI laugh. He was pissed that I made him laugh, because I guess he broke character or whatever. Well, I mean, he was threatened by me? Come on. Really? Dude, come on. I'm pretty sure his 12-year-old daughter could kick my ass. But okay, you're threatened by me. Then he said he's going to recycle me, which means I was on my 5th week of a 6-week basic training. And recycling means that they send you all the way back to 0 week, and you have to do it all over again. I'm not exaggerating. That's a thing. God, I was devastated. Oh my God. Also still turned on because he was super hot. Really, it was that whole time, the 6 weeks was just a roller coaster ride of emotions. He leaves. And then my TI comes back, and he gets the full report from this guy about how I had let him in and blah blah blah. And this handsome TI guy is my TI guy's boss, and he's laying into my TI guy. Well, this is really super cool. My TI, instead of just saying, "Yep, he screwed up. Let's recycle him," he fell on his sword for me. I will never forget this. I thought it was so nice. He said, "I screwed up. I didn't tell him, and it wasn't posted anywhere, that you can't let someone with a green ID card in between 1 and 2 o'clock." And I guess that was what they were testing me on. But they forgot that one key part. They never told me that that was a thing, and they didn't post it. So I was right to let him in on all the credentials, but I wasn't supposed to let him in between this one particular hour. And my TI could have just said nothing and just left my ass to go all the way back to 0 week and start all over again, but he didn't, which I thought was so super cool. And he got chastised by this TI for all that mess. I think the biggest takeaway is that a lot of TIs are hot, and that's a reason enough to go through basic training.